And if you just go into email for a second. Where's the email? Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah. I'm just gonna open because I've got. Do you know how to like put a video on?
Yeah.
Oh,
all right.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
I have to expand.
Okay, so.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate our contact for this week.
Perfect.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Getting all this info and making it look back, and then there's posts are
Oh, it's gonna probably.
from back then was the final would be the final shot, and then you just sort of back.
Is it being sorted?
I had forgotten a lot from that.
Oh, there.
From like 2000.
I know. I don't know why it's like at the very bottom. Anyway, we'll do this after.
Okay.
Okay, you can just hide that. Okay. Alrighty.
Okay, we're good to go?
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Welcome back, everybody. And okay,
All right.
take it away, Marcus.
Hello, everybody. So I'm going to talk a little bit about like interactivity and marketing today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about like my personal kind of experiences with that. Maybe put out some kind of probing questions just to make you think a little bit more, and some tips I've learned like over the years, either through my like experience in business school or just by trial and error. So I mean, there's a lot of resources out there to really help you market your material better, but it's a lot of like little things I find always that really help to improve like how your films are going to be received, or just like having people watch them and stuff like that. So I'm just going to kind of jump around here a little bit. There's, I mean, really a lot of stuff. First off, I'd say maybe the one thing I'll start with is that like reality is often different than expectation. So, I mean, everybody's spent some like quality time working on films. For some of you, it might be your first films that you've worked on. For some of you, it might have been, you might have done multiple already. But I mean, everybody wants to have their material seen by people, and like through my personal experience with music, like I've spent so much time on some mixtapes or making certain songs, and you're expecting that like so many people are gonna like view them and check them out, and they're gonna love them, and like sometimes you just kind of hear crickets, and there's like very little reception to what you're doing. So sometimes when you like put a lot of expectation on something, and like the reality is that like nobody's really viewing your content, sometimes it can be a little bit disappointing. So I think it's first off just really important to remember that like you shouldn't set high expectations, but just, you know, always try your best. It's not a bad thing to have certain expectations. I mean, you're going to learn from that, right? If you don't have any expectations, you're not going to really know if you did better or worse than you were planning to, because you never planned for that. So I think that's one thing I just want to start with. First off is, you know, things can go well, and I mean, sometimes it takes a little bit, and somebody discovers your content, and like they maybe have a really big network of people, and they love it, and they share it, and all of a sudden it goes viral and stuff like that. So sometimes it can be unpredictable. So I guess with that, I'll be talking a little bit about like search engine optimization. So like how you can make your content more discoverable across social media and your website. And other things like if you've heard of like what critical mass is, so it's kind of like a snowballing effect. So like when your content initially, or when it hits a certain point of like views or shares and stuff like that, and it kind of just like keeps on going and going, like that's definitely something you'd like to achieve. However, with everybody here making like, and definitely a bit constricted for time, everybody's going to be making some short films. I mean, you might not be able to have like a screening night specifically just for your film, because maybe it's only 5 minutes long, and maybe you're going to be continuing it on, making it much longer, or this like part one of like a multiple part series. So you can plan for that too. But how would you want to share your content? So like with that, like what makes your film special or different? So what would really engage people to want to see what you're doing? And like when you're going to be marketing your film, are you going to be doing that yourself, or are you going to be having somebody else do that for you, like a friend, or are you going to have everybody that was kind of involved in the film all helping together? So from my experience, definitely, the more people you have involved in a process, the better it is. You get more of a network effect like that. And often, if maybe you generated that content yourself and you're trying to promote it, it can seem a little bit like self-promotion, and sometimes people aren't all for that. And that's by no means like a bad thing. It's really important to promote your own content and be like proud of your work. But sometimes when you have somebody else, like more of an external party, talking about it, people get really excited about it that way. And then if they see that you posted it and somebody else posted about it and that they like it, you know, those are positive reviews for what you're doing. So that like gets other people excited too. So when you're thinking of how you're going to be marketing your content, I mean, a lot of methods. Obviously, social media is great. It's free. So many people use it. There's so many different types. You have like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat's pretty big. I mean, there's so many. And I mean, depending on what your content is, like there's tons more that I haven't listed, obviously. YouTube is definitely like a really big one for film, obviously. With that, you do have to keep in mind things like copyright. So if like the material that you're putting on there, if it has like a song that you don't have the rights to and stuff like that, it could get removed, as Kelly and I were just talking earlier. Now they'll actually just put music that isn't copyrighted on your film over top of the copyrighted content. So it's pretty neat that they do that now. And I mean, a bit unfortunate that you might not have the music that you planned for. So it's good to think ahead, right? Website. So are you going to be making like a web page for this, or do you already have a website that you're planning to host this through? So maybe you have a friend who makes some films as well, and maybe they're willing to help share your film to help promote it. So cross promotion is always good. So it's good to consider that as an option, but then also like how are you going to help them? So are you going to like help draw traffic to their website and their videos and their material by having them share yours as well, because everybody's going to be sent to one area. So that's always great. Other options, so like community screenings. So that's definitely a very viable one. Definitely like with the crowd in here being in like the Vox Popular Hall, community screenings such as even like our film festival as well. Definitely a great chance. A lot of people are coming here specifically to watch like local films from all over the place. So it's a really great opportunity to like talk more about your film, connect with people. You never know who you're gonna meet. Sometimes like maybe you'll run into somebody and like it just seems like fate that they happen to know a lot about this topic and you just bumped into them coincidentally. Maybe not. Yeah, so there's a lot of avenues for marketing, but I'd say probably the most important thing is really having quality content. We're in like the information age now where there's content about everything. Like if you go on YouTube and search up a video for like some bizarre thing, chances are there's probably a video somebody's done about it, even if it's like a poorly done video where somebody just has like a headset on and you can barely hear what they're saying and like they're eating food and stuff. I mean, there's just content about everything, right? That might not be such quality content, so you want to try and rise above a little bit. So I mean, definitely making your content quality in the first place is important, but also marketing it with quality is important as well. So for instance, some people really like to have like eye-catching titles. They're not going to just click on everything. They want something to kind of like pop out to them. So maybe the title is a little bit exciting. I guess it can kind of fall under like the clickbait articles. Has anybody heard about that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. So basically like an article that might be a little bit misleading. So it gets people's attention and they click on it and then maybe it's not what they thought it would be, but it got them views anyways. So, I mean, you want to consider something like that, but also making sure that when people follow through that they actually have content that they really enjoyed. So just thinking out of this group, I mean, if you had an article like 5 ways to become a better wrestler, people might not think that it's like a harm reduction based video. They might think it has something to do differently, but when they actually watch it and they're like, oh yeah, those are good things to consider. Like I never thought about that. Those are 5 valid ways to become a better wrestler. It's not maybe to improve in your actual wrestling style, but you know, it is very valid that you could be a better wrestler by actually being able to stay in longer by considering your health and your well-being and stuff like that. So even like a cool title like that, I mean, there's so many options, but just like think a little bit about the title because sometimes like something catches somebody's attention and they click it and that's what gets them through. So with social media, as I was mentioning, like cross promotion is like a really big thing. It saves you a lot of time when you learn to do it properly, although it does consume time and energy. So it's not like you're just gonna like go and like post something once and like you're done. You're probably gonna have to like constantly do stuff like every day, every week, or whatever. It's very time dependent on what you have. So if you have a larger team of people that can help you out, that definitely saves everybody time. You just have to make sure everybody's kind of involved and committed to helping that out. So I guess with that, with the cross promotion side of things, so having links back to like your web pages is really important for like the way Google rates things. So it's like backlinks. So say somebody wrote an article about your film and you have a website for that film. If you have more links coming back to your website, it's going to rank much higher than it would if you were to just have your website alone with no backlinks going to it. So Google is really big on that. So it's really important to consider that. So maybe if you have friends who do like blogs or things like that, if they can link back to your product, then like that's excellent. And did you have a question?
I do, sorry, I don't
Yeah.
want to wait, but when you're talking about that, do you mean like adding links to like, if, for example, for a band, like if they've worked on other projects, putting it on their website versus, and when you talk about like, hey, I'm doing this, hashtag like Shiba Films, like I did work with them, you know?
Yeah,
That's
so
the kind of links you're talking about?
so like with hashtags, like it does work in a similar way, because I mean the more like hashtags there are relating to like your product, the more that's going to be shown on there, the more relevant and valid it's going to be. But with like websites, so basically if you have, or let's say for instance like Basic, my like nonprofit that I started, if I just had that alone and I didn't have other websites linking back to it, to the material, and there wasn't any others like using like my URL like for basesafe.org on other websites, it wouldn't rank as high with Google. So if you have like somebody with a blog and they're talking about like harm reduction in the city, and then they have like your link on there, just by having your link on another page, when Google sends out kind of like web crawlers to other websites, it follows through links on different pages. So when it gets more links going back to your page, it's going to rank higher overall. So I mean, like a little thing that's pretty straightforward, that like, yeah, having more links is gonna like make it better because there's more views, but like it will rank higher through like the algorithms that Google uses. So it's important to consider things like that. And I mean, with social media, it's pretty obvious when you have more links going to your content. If somebody shares your content, it has that link right in the content. So it's gonna have like shared from your page, so that helps improve the rating.
So it's not just the clicks from those links, it's the links themselves linking back.
Yeah, so it's important to consider that. And I mean, like, with that, generally, if people are sharing your content, there's something valuable in there. So they might not even have to say very much about it. But I mean, if they're interested in sharing it, somebody might view it just because of that. Or I mean, you get a lot of Facebook's pretty bad with it, like the fake news kind of stuff. People just share things kind of without even thinking about it, because maybe it's like, seems like a hot topic or something like that. Maybe somebody never even really like clicks it to see what's in there. So I mean, with quality content, so if you're actually making films about important subjects, people are probably going to be more interested in checking it out, especially if like your friends are like sharing it and saying like, hey, like my friend just made this. If you know any wrestlers, tag them, you know, things like that. It's going to get people more engaged, and then when they see things like that, they think, oh, maybe like I'm interested in wrestling, or like I have a friend who is, so they might check it out.
You should make them small, because they're like the giant. They're the giants peering over in the live stream.
And they're going like this. Like I think they're trying to. Yeah.
Trying to say something, or
Yeah, where they wanted to say
Oh yeah.
Kelly, did you have a question as well?
Yeah. Okay, so every time that you post, like every time I post a video on Vimeo or YouTube or whatever, I always put in the link to my in the descriptor. You're not
Yeah.
always able to.
Yeah.
But will they find that too in those
I
things?
think it would probably, and I mean, it's, even if not, it's always helpful to have the links in there, because if somebody's scrolling through that video,
Right.
and maybe it's their first time stumbling upon your work,
Right.
if they have links to your other work on there, like that's great, because
Yeah.
that means people know where they're going to go. If you don't include that in there, you're pretty much just losing out on like a valuable opportunity to like share your work. So I think it's always a good idea. And again, the main thing is to just really be really consider like the content is it valuable or not. Like sharing like 100 links on something might be more spam than it is actual like relevant, and that's another thing that Google does as well. So like if you were to include like a tag or a certain word on your website like 200 times on like one page, and there's maybe like 400, 500 words on that page, they're probably going to flag that as spam. So again, your website's not going to appear. So you want to be like thinking about it, and things like, for instance, like titles. If you were to have the title of your video containing like a certain keyword, so again, I'm just going to use the example wrestling. If you included that in the title, it's probably going to rank higher than if it was just in the description itself. So if you have it in the title and description, it's probably going to rank higher. The way websites work is like they have like different like classifications of headings. So like your heading 1 would be like your largest kind of text size, so often like the main title on like a page. If it appears in the title tags or the heading tags, it's going to rank higher than just in the description itself, because it's assigning that it has a greater importance. So it's good to just consider some little things like that. When I was talking a little bit about earlier, like the critical mass and like kind of the snowballing effect. So like with that, I think social media is really great for that, because like things can snowball so quickly if you have like an important issue that you're talking about. Harm reduction is definitely like really important. There's been a lot of like thought put into it lately, especially with like everything that's just been happening like due to like fentanyl contamination and drugs. Actually, like a little while ago, I think about a year ago, when we first started to notice some stuff in like the Thunder Bay district, there was fentanyl found in a certain drug supply, and we shared that on our page, and like I think we got like 100 shares or something on it, and like it just exploded in views, and like that was totally unexpected. We more or less just wanted to like let people know that, you know, like be considerate of this, and just through sharing like some sort of important content, like we had so many shares and so many views, and again, that was something like totally unexpected. But when you actually have something like quality, and you know you want people to learn more about something, often people will do a lot of the work for you, which is great, because I mean that's the whole point of marketing, is getting people to share your content. And then when you're like snowballing, it creates like a bandwagon effect as well. So like once people see that like there's people excited about this topic, maybe like this animated film, I think like with that, it's kind of funny, because you think like nobody should just like look at something just because it's popular, but then everybody does anyways. So like the bandwagon effect is definitely something to consider. You know, the more friends and people that you have talking about your film, the more you're sharing your film. So I mean, if you're sharing it across social media, maybe if you had posters up because you have like a screening of it at like the film festival or something, the more people see it, the more familiar they're gonna get with your brand essentially. And the more it's going to stick in their mind by having it like kind of repeated. So that's always like a really great thing. And like if it's good, often it'll create like a positive feedback loop as well. So the more people are talking positively about your film or your work, generally the better it's going to get as well. And when you're sharing your content, like, are you going to be involving everybody in the film? So maybe it's the people that you interviewed. Are they gonna like help to share the content as well? Are they interested because they can share this and say, hey, like I was interviewed for this film. Would you like to, or like, please check out this film and see what I have to say? So like that's gonna help, because that's getting people excited. And I mean, not everybody has a chance to like be like interviewed for a film, and especially if it's about something that they're very passionate about themselves. Like that's always exciting to know that like your voice is being heard, people like what you're talking about, and generally that's what really engages people. When people see that like other people are excited, that gets them excited too. So I know I'm jumping around a little bit here. There's just like lots of stuff to say about like the interactivity and marketing. One big thing with social media to consider is times to post for higher engagement. If you post on a Monday at like 10 a.m. opposed to maybe like a Friday at like 6 p.m., you could have dramatically different results. So it's important to consider that. Just like by even just like Googling like best times to post, you can find out a lot of information. So just like this one site I have here, for instance, when you're looking at like the country of the United States, 80% of the populations in the Central and Eastern time zones. So, I mean, if you're posting when those people might be like on lunch or when those people might be getting off of work, and if those happen to be times where they might be like looking at their phone more to see like what's happening maybe during that day, or they have some free time, those are probably going to be better times to engage that person rather than like when they're busy, because there's so much content. So if yours doesn't start to get views and reactions and stuff like that, it generally starts to kind of sink below everything else. So even if you have great stuff, it might just be the time that you're posting it that's not helping. So for instance, on Facebook, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are like the better days for engagement. Weekends, people generally have more free time on the weekends, and then leading up to the weekend when people are looking for things to do and stuff like that. Best times to post, so 9 a.m. when people are probably just heading to work and maybe they're waiting to start up, or like 1 p.m. when people are maybe on lunch or maybe just getting back from lunch, and 3 p.m. So it's important to consider things like that. Twitter, Wednesday, I guess, happens to be like a better time, in like 5 or 6. So it might also take into consideration how much time it's going to take to view the content. With something like Twitter, really short posts. I think the character limit's a bit higher now. It used to be like 160 or so. I think they increased it. But generally, if the content's going to take almost no time to view, people are probably going to have more time to check out more stuff. So it's not going to be as much of a commitment. So having like short content can be really helpful as well. I don't know if anybody's like seen on Facebook recently, there's like lots of like 60-second documentaries and stuff being shared. Like that's great because like literally it takes 1 minute to watch like the whole thing, and then there could be like a lot more stuff linked to that. But if you can get somebody excited in 60 seconds, like you might only have like 30 seconds of like kind of actual footage in there, and the rest is just like talking about it and getting people excited about it. So like that might take almost no time to actually put together, and then it's just thinking about how you can market it to get people excited, having like some happy music in there or whatever kind of fits the mood. Just like lots of like different things to consider like that. So one of the things I chatted with Kelly a little bit about, or that I said that I'd mention, would be things like hashtags and tagging your films. So like with YouTube, it's like a media giant. But it's really important to make sure that you like include relevant tags that people might search up. So I mean, if you're making a film in Thunder Bay, consider throwing like Thunder Bay in there as a hashtag. Maybe if it's relevant to like Canadian issues or like provincial issues more, consider including like those tags as well, what your film's about, maybe who's in it, who made it, because if somebody's just searching up your name or maybe like a specific topic, if it's an animation film, animation tag, you know, just some very like straightforward ones, but just make sure you include those because it will help your rating. And then there might be people just scrolling through different stuff about a specific topic and they see yours and want to check it out. So they wouldn't find that if you didn't have a tag on there. Now, one thing to note, just from my personal experience with on Instagram, hashtags are like a huge thing for that, but there's certain hashtags that are banned, and I just recently found this out. I didn't realize that there were some hashtags that are banned. So if you were to search one up on Instagram, for instance, the one I was looking at was EDM. EDM is a banned hashtag because it's overused on Instagram, and a lot of people just flood, like just put that on everything because it's like a big topic. There's like, I don't know, like 18, 20 million like posts or something with that tagged on there. So I mean, it's gonna get lost in the content, but they actually banned it. So if you were to have maybe 40 relevant hashtags plus EDM, your content's not going to be shown at all.
What is EDM?
So EDM, electronic dance music. So yeah, very like broad kind of term.
Which ones are banned?
You kind of just have to like search through them. So I mean, if there's going to be certain ones that you're going to be using all the time, and I'd say probably more like the popular ones. So if you're using something smaller, I mean, Thunder Bay, it's probably not going to be used by people outside of Thunder Bay, but something that might be like a very like general, really popular topic, or might be kind of controversial and stuff like that. Yeah, consider looking at that. I think usually if you just like search up the hashtag, it'll like tell you if it's like a banned hashtag. I think you might be able to find some lists online, but because things are always like evolving and changing, there might not be like a final list of everything that's banned. But that's just something important to consider because, I mean, if you're sharing your content and you're constantly using these hashtags that are banned, your content's not going to be seen by anybody, and you're basically just relying on people coming to your page to view your content because they're not going to see it if they're like just looking through a list. And like that just like blew my mind. I didn't even consider that. I was like, okay, so like you can't use just always popular hashtags, or like on Twitter there's like the popular kind of like threads that are happening right now, where like you can see on the side it'll show you like what's kind of trending right now. So I mean, even if you don't use that like those words as like hashtags, they'll still appear, but on Instagram it's different. So like you do have to be considerate of some things like that. So lots of different things to consider, and like I thought that was like really good to know, because I mean, like how upsetting would it be to find out that like
That's why
you've been
nobody sees your music.
yeah
They
yeah
see music.
yeah it's like a total bummer that you'd be putting like all this effort into like making like videos, recording songs, sharing it and marketing it, and like nobody's seeing it because like you used a bad hashtag. It's like what? So just again, little things.
There's other examples, like in Facebook is always evolving and new rules and this and that. And you know, like when they started really hammering down on any kind of copyright infringement or whatever, and because they can use these, you know, like the AI to find it instantly. Anyways, you've got to always be keeping up on the latest thing. It's like a game
Definitely.
a little bit.
Yeah. It definitely is, and like that's I'd say one thing that people that are very into like current marketing of social media and stuff like that. Like you can be so good at it, because like things are constantly evolving with Google algorithms. Like every day there's like they're adding or tweaking things to make things show up differently. So like machine learning is definitely like a really big thing to consider, because if the websites themselves are able to now like sort content like good from bad, like you have to be aware of that. Otherwise, like your content's not going to be shown, or maybe not shown to as large of an audience. And like Facebook, especially right now, it's like it's been so bad lately, where like it wants you to promote everything that you post on there. It's constantly asking you to promote things, and often if you're not promoting it, you're going to get almost no views. So Facebook wants their money, so it's important to be considerate of that. So like if you don't want to pay for your content to be shared, you're going to have to be looking at your next best options, which would be just getting people to organically share it.
Facebook also punishes you.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
They totally
Oh,
punish
yeah.
If you pay for it and then stop paying for promotion, they actually, their algorithm actually penalizes you and makes it harder to promote your content.
Yeah, it's
So it's almost,
No,
it's
no, but
almost,
and also every time there's a technique of sharing, even if you're sharing with your friends and you invite at a too quick of a rate,
no.
you get
know,
banned.
like I've been banned like so many
Temporary
times on
bans.
different things. All I want to do is tell people in my community to come out to my event, and it's like, no, you're doing this too much. Or even if you do it directly in Messenger for people who are online, like I usually don't send out a message unless I see that they're on, and then I would send them something. But you have to like write something different to each person. You gotta pace it out slowly, or else after you've shared with like 5-6 people, all of a sudden it's like,
Yeah, it can be a little bit frustrating, because like to do things organically and to just really get people excited about it, like you can't always just rely on social media to do it itself. I mean, if something's trendy and exciting, like it can happen so easily, but like sometimes just to share like events yourself, like putting caps on like the number of people you can invite, or like if you're sending too many messages to people to get people to come out, and I mean that might be a little bit of a spam as well, but you might even get like a temporary ban. It's just like it's frustrating, because you have to really consider a lot of these things when you're like promoting things. So getting other people to help promote and invite people to events and stuff like that, because you can't just do it alone, otherwise you do get capped out. And it can be quite frustrating and difficult that way. So along with marketing, there's the 4 P's of marketing to consider. So when you're sharing your content or products, you want to be considering like the 4 things. So what is your product? What is like the price of it, the place and the promotion of that? So I mean, with this, the product would be like your film that you're making. The price, would it be just shown for free? Is there a cost for a screening? So if you had it like shown at the film festival, is there a price to come and view it? and would that be like a deterrent from people? And like if there was a cost and you were maybe holding like a separate screening night yourself along with maybe another organization, would the proceeds maybe be like a donation to a specific cause that might get people to come out because they want to help this cause? Or would you have like a specific organization that might be willing to like split like the work or the cost with you? So maybe having somebody as like a sponsor. So I mean, with many of the films focusing on like harm reduction as a topic, if there's any like agencies in the city that maybe wanted to share your video and have it screened during something, perhaps that would be like an excellent opportunity to get free promotion in a way by having them show your film to maybe an audience that is already there and interested. So they're excited to check out like a few minute long film, and that might save you a lot of work from having to like organize something yourself. So I'd say pretty much any time it's possible to have other people do work for you, it's so helpful. And then people are always more excited when like somebody else is talking about your work, as I've mentioned. So getting other people involved is like never a bad idea, as long as they're willing to talk about things in a positive way, I guess. So where would the place be for your content to be shared? Online probably would be a great place to always share at. Would you be showing it at like a film festival or community screenings? Would you be interested in submitting your film to other film festivals? There's many film festivals you can submit to. Sometimes they do have costs to submit. However, if you do message them and like if you message them personally and said that, you know, you're a local filmmaker, you maybe don't have a budget for this, but you'd like them to just consider it, especially if it's a short film, only takes like a few minutes or so to show, it might have a lot more of a greater chance to be shown. Or as we're talking just earlier this week, some film festivals don't even show films, they just give awards. So
I got an award at film festival, and it was awesome.
Yeah, so like
they gave a nice certificate.
Yeah, it's great. You get recognition that way. So I mean, even if your film didn't get shown, if you have recognition, you can share that and say that you won awards for these festivals. That might get people to check it out. They say like, oh, cool, like they won an award, like what's their film about? And maybe that gets them to check it out. So sometimes they don't want to just check it out because you made it. Sometimes people want to check it out because suddenly you won an award and it's special and stuff like that, even if it never got shown at a festival. So like, it's always good to consider things like that. And then with the promotion side of, so with your film, would you be making anything complementary to that as well? So would you be having like a making of kind of thing? So maybe you can have a second film where you kind of talk about why you made the film and like why it's important. Would you be considering doing that in like a live stream Q&A kind of style? So maybe you try and generate like a little bit of excitement, or if you had like a community screening, or even such as something like the film festival, if you're showing your short film here, you'd have a little bit of time to be able to like talk about your film, maybe talk with the audience before and after the film. So that gets people more excited when they see people that are actually like coming out to their own film, they want to talk about it, and people can ask them questions. You might get some like really good comments. Some people might point out things that you didn't consider yourself. So that's always a really good thing to consider. What else do I have here? Word of mouth is always pretty great for promoting. Talked about having like a screening. Let's see what else here. So I'd say definitely with like the films being made here, the budget is probably going to be pretty small to minimal. So you're going to want to consider like, what are your options for promoting your work at little to no cost? So like, would that be getting the people involved again? So as I've mentioned a few times already, getting like people in your community involved is always good. But then if you can get organizations to consider sponsoring your film or including it in like as some sort of maybe training and things like that, that's a great way to go, because it could be free that way, and having maybe like a more reputable organization sharing something about yours or your content, that's great for everybody.
And
yeah.
educational
Yes.
institute like schools,
Yeah,
universities, colleges, those are, you know, captive audiences, and there's people that distribute internationally that non-theatrical educational material that is now, it's like its own YouTube thing, and you get actually even get some royalties. It might be pennies per watch it, but if it's global, for example, lots of my films are with this organization called Visual Ed, but they have a whole package of all their films and everything, and in China, they buy our films, or they download them and watch them, and I get, you know, whatever, 5 cents every time somebody in China watches one of our films. So actually, for the first time, I've been getting checks for more than $5 for my. But yeah, no, like getting a check for $60 every, you know, couple of months.
Yeah,
And films that are ancient.
Yeah, getting anything for your work always feels nice and rewarding, even if it's just a little bit, to show that, you know, people are enjoying your work, and maybe you're only getting like small checks at a time. But I mean, that could grow. And actually, as Ron was saying on the Wednesday when we were starting everything, like some of his films that he's made a long time ago are still getting viewed, and sometimes you get messages about them that like, hey, I loved your film about this topic. And like, maybe it's been a long time since you've even like thought about it, but like people are still out there, people are still interested. So just because it's been maybe like a year since like you've like worked on something, doesn't mean you should necessarily stop thinking about it and stop considering it in like promotion and stuff like that. You know, just even thinking that like maybe a year's time from now, and that's something that I think that Facebook is pretty nice with actually, is that they kind of do give you reminders that like, hey, like 1 year ago you posted this. So, you know, that might be a nice little reminder to just reconsider maybe like promoting your film a little bit. Like, hey, like 1 year ago I took a workshop and made this film. Like if you haven't seen it yet, like check it out and like show your friends. So just because it's been a long time since you've shared something doesn't mean it's gonna always sit kind of dead, because like sometimes it'll like keep on generating like views, and people are gonna be watching it and sharing it. So like sometimes it just takes a little while until like something kind of catches and could blow up. So and don't necessarily restrict yourself to just in Thunder Bay just because your film was made in Thunder Bay. There could be people interested all over the world, and with like such a global network nowadays, they're like people are more similar like ages than they are to maybe their parents. Like somebody from here could be more have more relatable to somebody like across the world than to maybe a generation above them who lives with them, just because of like the way the media is consumed nowadays. Like everybody is so interconnected, so it's important to consider that geographic boundaries aren't always going to be a limitation. So you know, maybe even having like subtitles on and stuff like that could be helpful too.
Well, and that just like YouTube has now like incredibly fabulous. It'll automatically subtitle your work, but you can fix it all up and edit it. You can subtitle it. You can subtitle in any language, and yeah, it's remarkable. And I noticed maybe a couple of years ago when Facebook really got heavily into video, people who had the most popular videos, they had subtitled always, and in a creative way, fun, not just like, you know, regular for closed captioning for hearing impaired. They would use graphics and everything, and I know myself, I watched a lot of videos on Facebook I never would have, only because I never listened to sound on it, and I don't, also that they embedded so they're playing, but now if they're embedding and you read something when you're scrolling through, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and people have like taken it to a whole new art form. That's
It's also a little obnoxious to open up because they've got their own little video viewer or whatever, that when you actually click on the video that opens up, it's kind of obnoxious to click on those all the time. Click on that all the time because it kind of takes you out of the flow of just kind of going through your feed. And so, yeah, I find that most videos I watch on Facebook, I'm just reading the subtitles.
and you're not clicking
Not
to
clicking.
it. Yeah. So you're consuming it, and yeah, no, it's amazing. So I don't know what that happens if they count it as a view, or if they can tell if you've paused.
Yeah, if you
or
watch after a certain point, they do. But
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
But anyway, so these are all. Anyway, it's a learning.
Yeah, yes. I think that's the majority I have to cover about this. But basically, I really prefer organic reach myself. I mean, like anybody can pay for content to be shared, but if it's not good, then what's the point of paying for it? Because if it's great content, then you should be able to get an organic growth. And I mean, like, it's not to say that like paying for something to be shared is a bad thing, but it should be just complementary. You shouldn't be just relying on that itself. And to also really just consider how content's being consumed nowadays. Like, a lot of content is being consumed on phones now, so it's important to consider maybe even just like the size of a video, the length, how it's being shown. I mean, like, if you're holding your phone upright, is it going to be like portrait or is it going to be landscape? Things like that can be making quite a bit of a difference. And I mean, maybe like it's just some things like maybe you have like subtitles on your film during some parts, or you have like some written descriptions and stuff like that. And I mean, if somebody is like scrolling through maybe their news feed and they see it, but it's showing like a very
Teeny
narrow
tiny, yeah.
kind of format, you might not be able to really read what's on there. And like, even if that might be what's really engaging for people when they're watching it on a larger screen, they might not be able to see it and they might just scroll past. People scroll so quickly through like news feeds and stuff like that. It really takes like eye-catching material to get people's attention, and for people to click on things. So some things might only have like a 3% or 5% click-through rate. So out of 100 people, there might only be like 5 who actually click on something. So I think that's one neat thing when you're posting things on Facebook, at least, when you can see like the click-throughs, how many views you actually have, people just scrolling past it. And actually, one thing I forgot to mention as well, so again with Facebook, they really prefer original content. If you were to post something on YouTube and share it to Facebook, it's not going to get ranked very well. They're going to make it shown less, or they want you to post it on Facebook. So that can be a little bit frustrating, because I mean, ideally you'd want to be able to just put it on, say, YouTube and share it everywhere, and then have all the views kind of directed to one spot rather than split up places. But I mean, if you were to do that, you'd probably get a lot less, because Facebook wants their content on there. So what are ways that you can work around that? So like, maybe you can make like a short video, something that like you can be talking about your film and tell people like, if you enjoy this, maybe it's just like a 30-second clip, like kind of introducing what your film is about. And then have people like directed to click the link in the description or something like that. And I mean, if you can catch somebody's attention in like the 30 seconds, and maybe that video, if it's like you or like some other people that are involved, somebody might be like very interested and be like, oh, hey, it's my friend, like they made a video, cool, click it. And then it directs them. And that way you have still your original content linking to the actual film. So yeah, you can be a little bit creative with that. Yeah.
Are there disadvantages to just putting that film up on YouTube, up on Facebook?
I'd say like sometimes it could be like a quality thing. I think.
Don't they have like, yeah, they have like limits on how big the video can even be though.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes it can compress it a little bit, so the quality might not be too great. And I mean, depending on what you're doing, it might not be too much of a concern anyways. And I'd say like the best way you can really figure it out is just like do some reading and then just like trial and error, see what works and what doesn't work. There's really no one answer to everything. Everything's going to be like a different problem. So I think really also finding out like what works best for you. And I mean, how much time is it going to take? If you're going to be posting on all of these different social media accounts, you have to keep up with everything. Otherwise, it's going to kind of just like get left behind. And also making use of like scheduled posts can be really helpful. But also to make that like meaningful content as well, as I've mentioned many times. So on Facebook, if you have a page, you can like post on there and have it like post automatically during these times. So consider scheduling posts during those times that are like best viewed on Facebook. So maybe on the weekend, leading up to the weekend, specific times of the day. You can find a lot of that information online. Some other websites, such as like Twitter, you can't schedule posts, but you can use third-party apps that will allow you to schedule posts on there. And you can use other apps that will actually like cross-post to all social media platforms. So you can just post it up once and then it gets shared automatically everywhere, and it might be able to work around some of the limitations. If you were to just try like reposting it yourself, maybe you can't like post a certain like amount of material on there, but like some of these apps can kind of work around that. So it can be pretty neat. And again, I think it really depends on like how much time you have, and are you doing this alone? If you don't have any experience with this, it might be like a lot to take on. But if you have some friends who are maybe like really good with social media, or maybe even like kids who are like excellent with tech. Like they might like know a lot about this, and they might already be doing it.
And instead of paying Facebook to promote your post, give them $20.
Yeah.
You know, for an hour of doing social media for you and sharing it and doing a bit of research or whatever.
So
I mean,
It does.
you know,
so
it's like a lot of work, but it's better always to invest in people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I still think that word of mouth is number one.
Mm-hmm.
way.
Especially in Thunder Bay, it's
Yeah.
huge.
Well, and people are also pretty cynical about ads online too, right? Like they
Oh,
don't.
they'll do anything to avoid it.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So if a lot of it is like, you know, trick people into learning about your things, right? It's like, and if you're just talking about it, or even better, if they hear it from somebody else who
Yeah.
isn't you,
But it
right,
shows,
about this
yeah.
content, it automatically almost legitimizes it in their eyes and stuff too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it could show a fake engagement.
Yeah.
Like companies buy clicks and likes and all that kind of stuff, right? And so even if Facebook says, oh, you know, for only $8, I'm gonna get you 15,000 hits or whatever. Anyways, first of all, that never happens. Organic is always the best. And anyway, but I think just to me, the most important thing you've said today is focus on the quality of your content.
Mhm.
That's the most important thing, is first the quality, then if you have time, if you like it. Sometimes it's just the process of doing it that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter that millions of people see your work, or by some fluke or whatever. The number one is enjoy the process, make something that you're really proud of, and it will stand the test of time, and it's something that is important to
Mhm.
make. If you just spend a lot of time making something that's whatever the latest thing,
Trend, yeah.
and you know, you get a lot of people to see it or whatever, but they're not people that you know. It's not your family. It's not,
Mhm.
and in the end, who even cares? So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
quality, that to me is
Mhm.
the
I agree.
and the other one is you know, make use of the people who you're collaborating with and the participants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Like, creating quality content is the most important thing. Creating stuff that you really like. It doesn't need to be seen by a bunch of people. If you really like what you made, chances are there's going to be other people that notice that and really care, you know? Like, yeah, my one friend, he put so much time into this project and, like, he made a great video. It doesn't need to be seen by, like, thousands or, like, tens of thousands of people to, like, be a great video. It could be super relevant, and also considering, like, who's your audience that you want to see this. It might not be like everybody, right? It might be like very specific. You might not have an audience even that you're necessarily like looking to watch this. But yeah, I'd say definitely creating content that you really enjoy, that is quality, is the most important thing. Because if it's good content and you really like it and your friends really like it, like that's gonna be much better. Or it's going to have probably a much better chance of gaining in popularity and stuff like that if people are actually enjoying it, rather than just creating something because maybe it's popular and trending. Because as soon as that trend blows over, it's probably going to pass too.
I find that another thing to always keep in mind is it's like the social media is a bit of a megaphone. You can kind of just throw your voice anywhere, but it's all about generally the follow through, right? It's you're not gonna get millions and millions of hits that you're searching for just because you have a video on YouTube. That's not how it works, right? It really is about the promotion and stuff and actively doing it. You can't just expect that stuff to just kind of fall in your lap, right?
Yeah, and like consistency can be a big thing as well. So like if you're sharing something and want it to be like have it continue to be watched by people, just being consistent about it. You don't have to necessarily do a lot of work. Sometimes just doing a little bit of work is better than trying to like create some sort of like elaborate posts and stuff like that and getting a view. Because if you just spend a little bit of time consistently and you're just sharing with your friends and stuff like that, that's probably going to do pretty well. Yeah. There's a lot to say, but I think a lot of it kind of seems to be a bit common sense once you think about it. It's like, you know, just simplifying things, creating quality content. But I think just like when you're thinking about that all, it starts to just kind of like set off some little light bulbs. And I mean, there's a lot that you can do just like during your production. And of course, these are probably not going to be just the single version of your film. Like very well after today's over, you'll probably want to continue working on it and then make another edit, and I mean keep on going until you're kind of satisfied with it. I mean, it might never really be totally satisfied with it, but at what point are you also going to move on to another project as well? Something doesn't necessarily need to be 100% perfect. If you really enjoy it and you put all your work into it, and eventually you want to just move on, like you don't have to keep continuing on with one thing always. Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent learning experience, and as I've said already, just really trial and error, I think, is a big thing, and just, yeah, as Kelly said, just creating quality content is like key. Yeah. Any other questions?
Do you want to say a couple of things? I mean, because you've worked for big, like you've done films for, big broadcasters, let's say, like, and then you do the kind of work that's on your Sawbuck channel, or you've done some that is, just useful media for user groups.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to add. When I do stuff for national or international broadcasters, they handle all of it, and they do an amazing job of promoting it. They have hundreds of people working on those promotions, but in my own work, I have to admit, I don't put as much time into it as I should. I get pretty lazy about it. Like, once I finish the project, I just am like, I'm not really gonna do much with this. But I try every now and then. And I do run the Instagram and Facebook sites for a number of organizations. And so that helps, because I'm the one who's controlling all the cross-posting.
Yeah.
So I do that on a volunteer basis, but the films are always connected to the work that those organizations are doing. So I'm just constantly putting it out through 4 different organizations and cross-posting with them and all of their partners. I'm trying to be better about getting collaborators listed on my website and being listed on their website with their backlinks. It helps, but I'm not particularly good at it.
Yeah, I think a big thing to consider is what are your personal strengths? Like, some people are excellent promoters, some people are going to be excellent filmmakers, excellent editors, so really focusing on that. I mean, if you're an excellent filmmaker or you're just really passionate about this subject, you might not necessarily be the best person to promote it. Maybe you have a friend who's excellent with promotion, and you can do something for them in exchange. That might be much better off. And I mean, when you're exchanging with other people, everybody's benefiting in that. It creates a surplus. You're going to be better off by having somebody who's good at doing what you want to do, and doing what you're good at for them, than you would be just for yourself. I do quite a bit of promotion, but I prefer to make music myself. Promotion is something that I think with a lot of things you just kind of have to do a little bit of, but I have some friends who are so excellent with promotion, and they have maybe a lot more free time on their hands. Time is a big limitation. And consistently promoting things, it is going to take up time, and it can be a little bit frustrating too, because you might be sharing stuff and not getting much feedback on it, or maybe you just feel that you need to keep on sharing it just to keep things relevant. But I mean, if things are kind of slow sometimes, do you want to continue promoting this, or do you want to go and maybe continue making another film or working on something else? Where is your time best used? So I'd say that's a really important thing to consider.
No, I will say that I find it so difficult to do promotion, and because it feels like self-promotion, which feels really gross to me.
Yeah.
And I've had 3 different museum curators who do video art installations that tell me you really need to find somebody else who can talk about your work. You do it. I'm obviously uncomfortable doing it, and so I actually started doing that a couple years ago, because I'm at a university, right, and I'll work with students, and they're I don't really have any idea how to talk about this, and I just don't want to talk about this. And they're if you find some good people, like how I said, investing in people who can write up little pieces for you to put on, copy that you can use for posting to, whether it's Insta or Facebook or Twitter, Ello or whatever platform you're using, which is actually a pretty cool platform. I don't know if you know Ello. It's the Facebook for artists.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really come a long way. It's a super strong platform now. I think I joined 4 or 5 years ago when it was in beta, and it's gotten a lot better.
Can you say it again?
LOELLO. Yeah, so I like that a lot because it's artists sharing their work, and it's all different kinds of artists. So I've gotten more traction there probably than I have with like Facebook or what have you. The other thing is I think this summer I'm going to be working on a series that's just for broadcast on Instagram. So it's formatted and it's basically like a 12-part 1-minute series or 1 minute of, 1 minute episodes across 12. And so that's kind of an exciting way to approach it too, if that's something that you're interested in, is making it, formatting it just specifically for that platform.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is it Kanye who's writing his book of philosophy on Twitter? Yeah.
I haven't heard that.
So,
yeah. Not surprising.
Characters at a time. Yeah, just like hundreds and hundreds of messages, but it's like his philosophy.
Well,
on
Trump is
everything.
running the world on Twitter.
And that is our best presidential record of all time.
It is.
I mean, it's an unprecedented presidential record, which is
Yeah.
a very generous way of describing what that buffoon is doing. But
And he just slagged our prime minister
yeah,
today.
yeah, and it's on the record. It's the
Yeah.
memoir, the
Yeah.
Twitter memoirs.
I do
But I think it is good to find somebody else who, if you're uncomfortable with it like I am, and maybe not as skilled at it as is the case with me, find somebody else who is excited about it and can speak eloquently about it or write eloquently about it and get them to do the copy.
Yeah, and then if somebody's doing work for you that way and they're able to talk about and promote your artwork, that's something excellent and easy that you can share yourself after. Like, hey, somebody just wrote this article about me. That takes like no work. All you have to do is share something that somebody else wrote, and like that'll engage people, and that gives you new content to share as well. And then it doesn't feel like self-promotion then anymore, which I think like is a very like iffy thing. And I definitely notice in like the music world with DJs, there's so many DJs, and like nobody wants to just see somebody constantly self-promoting. They want to hear other people or see that other people are interested in it as well, because like as I've mentioned many times, like there's just so much content nowadays, and like so much like garbage content that really has no value to it. So people want to see that something's quality, and like how can you tell if something's quality? Well, if people are sharing it and people are talking about it, generally there's something to it. It might not just be hype. It might be that there's something actually there. So like, yeah, finding people that are good at doing promotion can really do a lot for you. And if you can find somebody to do promotion for you for free because maybe they're excited about it, or you can do something in exchange for them, like that's awesome. That's like the best that you can ask for.
I think it's a really good point that sometimes creators are not the best at selling their work, right? Like there are a lot of bands, because that's just what I know. There are a lot of bands who, and I've done it too, where you just don't know the best. You're so emotional about it that you don't know the best way to even describe it, right? So you say, oh, we do like this kind of post-punk kind of, all these vibes, kind of, and then, you know, the person next to you who's actually into your band would just be like, oh, it's a punk band. You're gonna put on a punk show. We're gonna party, and now everyone wants to go because it's just a punk band. It's not like it's, and we're gonna go and rock out, right? It's instead of like this super emotional like description of what this thing is to you, right?
Oh, for sure. And like especially if you put so much time into developing some art, whether it be a film, songs, whatever it be, like you're probably gonna get quite emotional about something. So sometimes having like an outside approach who they haven't spent hours and hours working on this and maybe spending many nights trying to edit like one specific scene and something, and it just like isn't working right, and you're kind of going like a little bit crazy over it, and then like you're sharing it and like people aren't viewing it, like that might be really frustrating. So having somebody who like they have nothing else to do with it besides just promote it and talk about it, like that might be like it might be so much easier, and like the less work you have for yourself to do, the better, because that means you can continue doing what you actually enjoy. And like, I mean, if you're a filmmaker, like why are you gonna try and do all the promotion yourself? Because you only have so much time to spend each day. So if you're gonna be promoting it, then I mean that could develop your promotion skills, and it doesn't say that you can't be both a promoter and a filmmaker, but you know, if you're spending like 6 hours a day trying to promote stuff and it's not really going anywhere, and then you can be instead spending 6 hours working on another film, when are you gonna make those choices? Because like eventually it's gonna eat away at one or the other. So like I'd say do what you're passionate about is kind of probably like the best thing when it comes to like creating good content. And I'd say that really helps with the marketing, because when you do what you like, people notice that, and it becomes so easy. You're in like a flow state then.
Like the efficiency of a bigger team.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Gets better and better.
Yeah, teamwork is something excellent. Actually, like one thing I didn't mention, really work on your pitch constantly. I mean, if you have something that you really enjoy and you really want to continue on, just like always be working on your pitch. The more you practice it, the better it's going to be. The more times you practice it, you're probably going to fail or find ways that you can improve it. And you're really only going to find that by trying. So like, just always be thinking about like how you can improve it, how you can make it more brief. So if you can summarize your film in like 10 seconds, like nice quick elevator pitch. So if you're in an elevator with somebody and you can tell them your idea in like the time it takes to go from one floor to another, and like they're like, hey, that's a really great idea. Like that's good. That's excellent. If you can tell somebody that in such a short amount of time and get somebody excited, like you are doing great. And I mean, if you can put that into a film afterwards, like that could be an opening to like a quick little like introduction or something like that. And yeah, it's practice makes perfect. And the pitch is really important to consider, because if you wanted to continue it on, you're gonna have to find people who are good at promoting it. Maybe people who are good at like post-production or animation for afterwards, if you have, if you still need that. So if you continue working on your pitch, eventually you'll probably run into somebody who's good at it, or somebody knows somebody who's good at it. And yeah, I'd say it's constant work, but constant learning.
I have a question in terms of before the social media, the big guys controlled the marketing, and even the small, the small guy work could not be, exposed to different, a lot of public. After the social media and internet, there is a possibility. But again, I was listening to what Greg was saying, that the big companies, the big broadcasters use all kinds of strategies, and what Kelly was saying, they can buy the hits, and they can promote. Does it mean that still the small guy, like I know, the wrestling movie, he wants to have some channel, where he can promote these things, and get some monetization on that as well. Does the small guy in this setup still have a chance, or very less chance as compared to the big guys who have a lot of money, a lot of strategies, and they can buy the hits as well? So what do you think? What do you say about that?
I think like it might depend on like the impact that you want to make, and like what's your kind of scope with that. Like if you wanted to be like help many people, because maybe your film focuses on some like really important topics that you want lots of people to see, it might not be a bad idea to maybe like approach some organization about like sharing it, even if it costs a little bit of money. Depends on like what you want as your outcome. If you wanted to just share something as your local work, and you don't want to spend money on it, like I wouldn't probably waste a lot. If you want, you can try a little bit and just see how it goes. But like from my personal experience, like if you're creating like good content, like it's gonna be important. Just because somebody's like spending like millions of dollars or like hundreds of thousands of dollars on something to share it, doesn't mean it's gonna be great content either. There's a lot of like just not great stuff that gets shared and probably has so much money put towards it because they're trying to make it good. But if it's not good to begin with, like you're just kind of sugarcoating it. So, and not everything has to be shared on like a global scale either, right? Like just because it's not like a trending video that's gone viral doesn't mean it's not good. There's a lot of stuff that's gone viral that's just like really bad. Just like like you don't even want to look at it because it's just so bad. So and I mean, that can be great because like that can really help you out for maybe future films. You might have like a lot of a following because of something like that. But I'd say again, like what is your real focus? Like that could be something that maybe your promoter can work on. If you like maybe work out with somebody that maybe you're paying them a little bit of money and they're doing promotion, like they can get you like a large following like that could help benefit a lot of your future films. And if you wanted to make a bigger reach, that can be helpful. But Yeah, I'd say like probably trust in your gut
When
and
it comes to money,
yeah.
then a small guy can never have enough money to compete with the big people who have a lot of money.
Hmm.
So, that's, chicken
Yeah.
and egg, so that again, it's catch-22.
Yeah, and I think like that's where organic reach really comes into play,
that
because like
organic
if you have organic reach and like you have no money to spend, but you have something that's really important, it's gonna get out there.
relationship building and,
Hmm. So like if you can put your like your money into like maybe better like editing your film so it has everything in there is very meaningful, that's probably much better spent than just trying to promote a film that could maybe use a little bit more work. So like I guess that's probably something that with Greg and Kelly you probably had quite a bit of experience with, just like constantly editing. There's always changes that you want to make to improve things, and that's something with my music I've always noticed. There's always little things that you want to improve on, and sometimes it's not worth going through the effort of like making all these little changes. Sometimes those are maybe just considerations that you can put into like your next film and stuff like that. But yeah. Any other questions or comments?
I'll make a comment.
Yeah.
The last Docs North that I was at, we did a doc, and I got a bit of money from Bay Street Film Festival because they showed it, and I used that money to put it on Film Freeway and entered into the Docs Without Borders contest, because they have different contests.
Yeah.
And it got an outstanding merit that way. So that's a procedure you could do.
Yeah.
Use the little bit of money to put it in a contest, and then hopefully you win something, and then you can say that this film has won this award.
Yeah.
So that's how I did it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And like Thunder Bay has like such a great arts community. There's so many people with like important messages, and like there's just like lots of great arts coming out of the city, and it's like it's a small place kind of in the middle of nowhere, but like if you can create like good content, like sharing it on Film Freeway, and just like sometimes it's just spending a little bit of money to submit, or as I was mentioning, you might even be able to just like message some organizations or like different film festivals and just ask for like maybe a fee waiver or even like a discount on submission. And like I mean if you're able to provide like a trailer and maybe a description as to like why this is so important to you, and like why that and also why that might be important to them to share or like show at a festival, you might get like a free pass to show it. And I mean, why not? Like if you have a few more people watching it just because you sent an email, like that might spread a lot. You might get like an outstanding like award for something, and maybe it costs you a little bit of money, or maybe you're able to just talk them into just including it. And I'd say like the organic reach can be really good, and sometimes it does take a little bit of money to just like submit to different things, but often you can try and work around it, and sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't, but it's worth a try. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we gotta wrap this up. I was gonna suggest that we take turns showing our work. Sue Lookout, they're just doing some rendering and stuff, so they're not quite ready, but I've got a couple of things here, and I think we could play them on your computer.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple, so do you guys have yours on a hard drive that we could then show a couple of things, or have you picked something?
We picked a clip.
Oh, okay, good.
We can put it on a hard drive. Give us a second.
Yeah, and but thanks a lot, Marcus.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I think that's really good.
Thank you.
And then and one thing I wanted to do was just as we look at material and share our work, I wanted to just, from my perspective, just give like a little bit of a couple of pieces of advice for organizing the post-production process. Some people here are pretty well finished, but if we show it, I wouldn't mind just giving a couple of strategies that I've found over the years of dealing with like a lot of material and trying to, just a couple of tips. And I'm sure that Greg has might have some advice, or he can share a little bit about his process in the, finishing things and getting feedback from people and that whole kind of thing. So I have a hard drive here. I'm gonna give you, because I've got Arlene sent me her a couple of little snippets. I put it on the, hang on. Okay, just gotta quit this. And
Should I zoom in to get a closer shot of the screen?
no,
Look at digital zoom.
well, we can just move it. Why don't we just move it closer?
Closer. And we need,
Okay, and I've got a hard drive here.
I'll hold
Do
it.
you wanna just put your clip on this
So
one?
that's about
And, yeah, and you can move the whole, like the table too.
okay.
Just bring it, we'll just put it on.
Put it on here.
Laptop.
And then we'll put this, because the sound will be coming from here.
Oh, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
put the sound here.
So many places. So stressful.
Oh, but you can just click it through. And then that'll be lots of fun. And then,
How's the picture now?
It's pretty good, just needs to be tilted up.
or Riaz has
Is
it
it up?
upstairs.
Okay, so let's get some,
I can just put.
Okay, but maybe
something
just,
like
you
underneath
can
it.
go up there
Need
and
some
put it,
piece of paper
there.
or cardboard or.
yeah. So, and then after these guys, and then I got Arlene's and some other, so then can you show,
You'll have it like on disk too or USB drive.
oh, okay, perfect then. Yeah, great. Yeah, and I've got, the two clips from Arlene.
Right?
Yeah,
I think it'd work
I think this is,
if we use this.
sorry.
If we use this.
That's an important clip of Keegan.
Okay. So let's take it out. This might be too much. Yeah. So let's get this paper.
Yeah.
Can I
Or
just
maybe
drag it
this
onto the
little-
desktop or something?
Yeah, or you can just play it.
Yeah,
Oh, from yeah, just yeah.
You just have to, you can just hit play.
Yeah, just the yeah.
Like I would open it, it'll open up VLC. Yeah.
Maybe I can zoom a bit.
Yeah, and then we'll put this up as loud as we can for us to hear. And then for the people streaming, they're gonna hear it from the microphone.
Cool. I didn't know we were going first.
Yeah. Well, you guys are handy, you got lots of material. Okay, so who wants to, are you gonna be introducing it?
Yeah.
He's got it all, okay. So, group,
Yeah.
the wrestling gang.
Yeah. My group was.
Oh, okay, yeah, 1 second.
Yeah.
1 second. How's that looking, Dale?
It looks great. It's a little white, but you can see everything. So. Is this the emotional?
It's the one with Ryan in the locker against the lockers.
Is this the part when you start crying?
Oh, I'm just gonna show the whole thing.
Maybe warn you of swearing.
Yeah, I'll let everyone know that there might be a couple cuss words.
Yeah.
They are a brackish bunch.
It looks like you're in winter still. You're wearing like a hoodie. Or is it a double hoodie?
Yeah, I've got like this hoodie here, and then I'm also wearing another hoodie.
And a t-shirt probably underneath that?
No.
And a hat?
And a
That's
hat.
good, I think that's good, that's looking pretty good.
Oh, it's cold in here.
Okay,
Right,
so,
that's why I like this.
Okay, so take it away. Tell us, show us a little clip and maybe give us a little preamble.
Yeah, for our, the idea we had in mind was just a basic statement of we were trying to explore the relationship between injury, age, and the positivity of jiu-jitsu, so the type of community and stuff that it creates, and what some of the martial artists get from it, and if it's positive. We were trying to keep it on a positive spin. We didn't want to do anything sneaky and like make these guys feel bad about what they do, because what they do is pretty incredible. So we're planning to splice together a couple of interviews in the next couple of editing sessions that we did. We also got some footage of them rolling, but while we were filming, we spoke to this incredibly well-spoken gentleman named Ryan Quinn, right? Ryan Quinn, and we think the interview with him, we're just gonna play it unedited. It's about 8 minutes. We can cut it down if we need more time, less time. But yeah, we just think it sums up kind of everything we were trying to do with the project. So. Oh yeah, there's a couple of cusses here and there, but.
So, who the fuck are you?
I'm Ryan Quinn, member of Leading Edge Gym.
How long have you been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
A little over 3 years.
Rephrase the whole question.
Well, I've been doing Jiu-Jitsu a little over 3 years.
Okay, how old are you now, Ryan?
40.
40 years old. So how did you get involved in Jiu-Jitsu?
Actually a member here, current member. I talked to him about, doing some boxing. He said, you should come to the Leading Edge Gym, and I ended up falling in love with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's what happened.
So what keeps you involved in this sport?
It's an outlet. It's a stress outlet. And stress from, family stuff, stress from work stuff. And at this place, what keeps me involved in coming here is the people. Great people here.
So this really ties into the other one. Are there, psychological benefits that you get from this sport?
The psychological benefits I get from this sport is it's like a game of chess. And it's self-improvement. And I'm a person that's always wants to self-improve. So it's goal-oriented, which is not really a team sport. It's more focused on your individual, but it's a team here because you work together. And if you don't work together, you don't get better. But at the end of the day, you don't do well. It's your issue.
So what does this sport, probably more of a philosophical question in a way, but what does this sport mean to you?
The community. It's a great community. The sport means a community to me in Thunder Bay. It's the only community I have here other than work and family.
Do the benefits from Jiu-Jitsu carry over to other parts of your life?
Yeah, benefits definitely carry over into other aspects of my life. Self-confidence, temperament, dedication, resilience, work ethic. I'm not a lazy person, but we get comfortable. Everybody gets comfortable. You get comfortable in this gym at any time, you get hammered. And then I can leave here and say, you know what, if I get comfortable outside of the gym, I'm going to get hammered. And it's just a good way to live and keeps me in shape.
So we're going to switch gears a bit. What injuries, in the course of Jiu-Jitsu, what injuries have you experienced?
The injuries that I've experienced, dislocated hands, thumbs, knee tweaks, ankle. I've had my ankle dislocated completely and popped back in and trained 3 days later. Probably minor concussions, overtraining, bruises, constant bruising, you name it. Neck pain, back pain, arm pain. Bursitis, elbows out to here, draining them yourself, nasty stuff. But absolutely all worth it. I think the worry is for people is that, and my worry is, this might be one injury where you're out for a while, and no one wants to be out.
I gotta ask you a question. Your ears are pretty clean. How have you avoided cauliflower ears?
I just got lucky. I've avoided cauliflower ears pretty, just pure luck. I've had a few that have gotten a little bigger, but you know what? So I guess there's not as many wrestlers, and they don't know how to put ear pressure. So that's a shot at the guys learn how to wrestle a little better.
That's a great question to ask you. What are the strategies that you've used to prevent injuries?
Ooh. Strategies that I've used to prevent injuries are joint mobility, stretching. I stretch. My wife tells me I stretch almost every day. But for me, being 40, I gotta have a bath or a shower, 20 minutes, and then I stretch and be mobile. I've done yoga, I've done other things, but a lot of joint mobility stuff has kept me going. And probably if I haven't done that, I wouldn't be here already. I'd have too many bad injuries or things that just you can't work through. And always looking for different things to do, different exercises to add. Warm up, cool down are extremely important as an older athlete, and they're more so important for a younger athlete because then it prevents all the little injuries that I have now from previous sports. I have injuries from previous sports that nag me now, which hinder my jiu-jitsu. And if I was smart enough and was coached properly enough when I was younger, I wouldn't have all those nagging injuries, and I'd probably be better for it.
Awesome. So, what are strategies that you use to deal with injuries? We're kind of speaking post, after the fact.
Well, the strategies to deal with them when I have an injury. I'm a therapist, so I'm an athletic therapist, massage therapist, and I have various medical backgrounds. So I take a number of different stages depending on the injury, where it is, and what stage it is. So I have an acute stage, which generally is ice and rest and hydrotherapy, and then I'll have a subacute stage, which is a little bit of both, and then starting to stretch, starting to strength train, and then the chronic stage, where it's mostly grinding any scar tissue out, maybe ultrasound, stretching, getting someone to work on, and then back to the joint mobility, and then strengthening again. So that, I could talk for hours on that stuff.
Of course, yeah. Does the thought of injury scare you in any way when you participate in the sport?
Again, the thought of injury does scare me, especially here in throws. The biggest thing in jiu-jitsu is the worry of the brand new person. And for me, we've had a few guys come in here. They're nice people. I think I wait about 3 months before I roll with them, just because I know they're kind of spastic, they flop around, they're unpredictable. That's when, they don't get hurt, we get hurt. So it's not that I have the most experience in the world, but I have enough experience to know that when they're brand new, they come at you as hard as they can, and you're the one who gets hurt, they don't.
100%. If you could never, roll or wrestle again, how would you feel?
Oh, it would suck. Suck shit. I love coming here. Like I have two boys. I bring them here every single day, and for me not to be able to come here and participate, look, I was sick for about a year. I'm just recovering from it now, and I was here as much as I possibly could. I could do drills, and there was a point where I couldn't even do drills. And one of our members, basically one of our leading coaches, Matt Thorburn, basically babied me for a year, and he kept me here. And that is like, I get emotional thinking about it because I wouldn't probably be here without him. But yeah, it would suck shit because I'd lose my community. I wouldn't want to be in Thunder Bay. Anyways, cut that part out, you fuckers. No, it's okay. Yeah.
Okay, give us a second.
Yeah, what you guys watch today with this, it's a family. So, it's beautiful.
Okay. Knowing you're going to face injuries or are already dealing with injuries, knowing that, is it worth it?
Yeah. It's definitely worth it that I'm going to face injuries and get hurt. Yeah. I'm hurt now. I'm still here. Don't whine about it. You just move through it. again, my biggest fear is something that's going to keep me away that I can't even come back. Coming back to watch sucks, but I still come and do it. But if it was catastrophic where I couldn't come back at all, like it was a bad neck injury, and we've had, unfortunately, some athletes that have had that happen, it really sucks. You lose that member of your family.
Totally awesome. Anything else?
I think that was beautiful.
Yeah, I think that was
That's awesome.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Sorry, it was kind of long, but. Yeah, no.
Well, and you guys have like so many visuals and everything.
Yeah.
But
We have a freaking awesome movie.
well, I just wanted to say, just for, one tip is, I think you guys have already started off really well, is that you sat together and you watched your material. Like you took your time. You don't have to like watch through all of the, like your B-roll and all of that kind of stuff, but your content to just sit there and watch it for the first time, and it was obvious, I'm sure it was obvious what things stood out. And my process of editing for documentary has always started with, because my first film started out being, I was an assistant editor, and it was back using film. So, and you had to literally cut the film and stick it together with tape. So you want to be really careful about what you're cutting out and what you're putting in. So this process of like the first time you watch it, that's the only time that you are like the audience, because they're only going to see it once, most of the time. And they're going to, see that material only once, and it's going to be with all kinds of other complex things. And so you have to keep that in mind, that what were the strongest things that you noticed when you're watching it that first time. So you got to really give all your material a chance, and then you just wean it down. But that first time that you watch it and you guys like can easily agree, oh, this was the strongest moment, or this is the strongest moment, that's what needs to inform you. Because what happens is once you start cutting and then you get a cool sequence or whatever, you can start falling in love with stuff that wasn't really that, like something happened and you captured this moment or whatever, and then it's not going to work. So anyway, so I think that's way you guys are proceeding is really good. And then when you just like keep everything that you really love at first, and then start building your sequences. Yeah.
I don't know if they can see you in Sulika.
Oh.
You're standing way
Oh,
over
okay.
there.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So it's kind of boring for them.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway. So, but that's all I want to say. So, before we get on the next one. Because I'll think of some other things, but just the way that you guys are approaching it, and of course it's organizing your material. That's an important thing. Okay. Now. Put this on. How come it's not coming up on the? Oh. Oh yeah, okay, I get it. Okay. Okay. So I have I think this is the sun one.
If I'm too hot, and I usually am, you should find some shade, wear loose clothes, go indoors and find a cool spot, maybe even have a siesta. Hola!
That was awesome. Sorry, that was. And okay, I'll just show the other one, then you guys can talk about it.
Now, we're gonna cool you down, Walter.
Okay, so Arlene, why don't you come up here and, or if you guys want to both come up.
So you saw there was a couple of little, quite different videos, but what was common was the animation. So we went on the theme of harm reduction. What was the harm? Sunburn. Reduction, tips how to avoid sunburn. So the animation that we used was originally just carved watermelons, and it was born by the idea. I just had some fun with one of them, and I said, H2O Maloney here, and so I gave the watermelon a name. You know, H2O is water, and then melon, so Maloney. So we decided to go with that theme. So the one you saw was Nurse, the nurse. So the nurse's name is Nurse J. Maloney, and J stands for Juicy, so Nurse Juicy. So she's a juicy melon. And then the other character in our film is another watermelon, but that watermelon was carved kind of close, so you can see the red flesh underneath. So he automatically became Sunburn Man. So he was the sunburnt subject, and Nurse Juicy looked after him, and H2O Maloney was an assistant to the nurse. So using that app that I have on my phone, my talking pet, so we sat here and we recorded the different snippets. And then every time we recorded a line or a certain scene, then I emailed it to Keegan. And so Keegan started saving all of the videos. And so we kind of came up with the idea of our storyline, the beginning, the middle, and the end, and brought it all together. And now Keegan's in the editing room, and he's going to bring our video together with some graphics and, you know, and do the credits, title credits and whatnot. But what we kept doing was, it wasn't just arbitrarily me deciding on the videos, that once we did that recording, we'd show it, and the three of us would agree that, yeah, we want to use it. And then I'd send it to Keegan after we all decided that it was worthy to use. We had a couple of concerns, like for the nurse's hat, that Keegan used a graphic, and for some reason that bloody hat wasn't following that head of Nurse Juicy. But we thought, you know what, we're going to use it anyways and go with it. So, but I think you'll have a good laugh when it all comes together and play the whole thing. But yeah, and it was all born out of still images. That the sun is that Nurse Juicy. So, you know, she's like at a buffet table in Blau in Cuba. So, yeah, that's all nice yummy stuff all around Nurse Juicy. But Keegan, he found that graphic of the nurse's hat on the internet, and then he placed it on the still image, and then sent it to me, and then I put it on, used that still image on the Talking Pet app, and made it talk. But the trick about that too is you got to place those points to make that animation so that it looks believable. You know, if you don't put the points right in that mouth, the mouth isn't going to talk right? So it gets little challenges like that, but it's an app you can get hooked on so easy.
Did you use one of your mouths to make the mouth?
Sorry?
Did you film one of you guys for the mouth?
No, that's the carving. That's how it's carved. The watermelon is carved like that.
Whoa.
And so what you do is it has 3 points, one for each corner and one for the middle, and then a point that goes on the chin, right? But what I discovered is the middle point, you put it near the bottom, or like with this one, the middle point, I just put it above the tongue, just like at the uvula or whatever you call it. And so it worked great that the mouth was talking proper. But it took me a little bit too. I tested it, and I did a test 1, test 2 to see if the mouth was working. And then if it wasn't, I went back and I manipulated those dots a bit until it looked right, you know. So, but it's fun.
I think that's great. I love the humor. It's so funny. Like a couple seconds into watching it, like you can't help but just like laugh. It's like it's cute and like it's good. And, like,
You haven't even seen the funny ones yet. So.
Through my personal experience, just like with harm reduction, like the sun is a real killer, especially for like people partying at like music festivals and stuff like that. Like heat stroke is just frustrating. deal with because it's so preventable.
Hey, could you see
You just
using
gave me
this
a great
at,
idea.
Of Love and Kindness Festival?
Yeah.
How about we get them to play this at the Blues Festival this year every day to start the day?
Oh, yeah, you
right?
should
Get some connections.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah. So maybe I'll submit that to the city and to the auditorium
Yeah.
for harm reduction
That's an
with
excellent
respect
way
to
to
sunburn.
like use cross promotion, and like then you can share that there is an event happening, and then your short film is going to be screened as a harm reduction tool there.
That's a cool idea. That's a really cool idea. Does anybody have any questions or anything about that?
Oops, I gotta do this one again. Hang on.
So yeah, if you want to see a couple of the other ones that we threw in there, I've got.
So what about who did the animation on this? Like how did you?
So for this, what it is I took a picture down at the marina, so you can see the sleeping giant and whatnot. So I pulled that into photo editor, and then I went to text, and instead of putting text in, I selected the emoticon, the sun emoji. So that's the emoji off your phone. So I selected that, and then I used, once I superimposed that on my photograph, then I used the photograph with that sun, and I pulled that into Talking Pet. And then I animated the sun. So that's how I did that.
That's so great. Like here you have all these yeah, and these emojis, they're all like free to use, right? I don't know. Like if they come on your phone, they must be.
And I just thought that emoticon would be a little bit more within the theme and the framework of the video, as opposed to me creating that illustration and then putting it in there. So.
How come the audio didn't?
Is that your voice?
Oh, that's me. I gotta.
That's my voice.
Yeah. Here. Okay, we gotta play it again. Okay.
So we manipulated it with the
If
tone.
I'm
You can
too
manipulate
hot,
the tone.
and I usually am, you should find some shade, wear loose clothes, go indoors and find a cool spot, maybe even have a siesta. Hola.
That's great.
Now, we're gonna cool you down, Walter.
He's like, I'm gonna hurt you. Here's how you can deal with it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun anyway. Yeah. So you can make anything come to life, right? Like chives. Kelly was talking yesterday about chives, and yes, I've made chives talk, and it don't chive me, man. So yeah, real cheesy.
Yeah. I think it could be like a whole new YouTube channel.
Well, I just joined LO.
Well, there you go.
So maybe I'll post on LO. Yeah.
Riaz, do you have the video? Oh no. You know what I was gonna do? I'm gonna just try on here because I got the 360. I was just gonna show the 360.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna see if the internet will work on this computer. If it doesn't, well. Yeah, do you want to set yours up? Or, you've got it here?
It's not, it's just like we have the media.
Right.
It's not anything else. Like,
But that's
no idea.
okay.
Yeah. You can talk about the media and their experience of like how they find it.
Okay, I'm gonna just first try. I'm just gonna first see if this works, because then I can just show one thing.
Yeah, that was funny. That, I gotta thank you for that. For suggesting
Yes.
that.
Okay.
Because it really enhanced the experience that we had, as opposed to just his specialty of editing. Way above but by him becoming one of the actors. It brought us up all one.
No, she was telling me. She brought it for birthday.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the 360 footage. I just stitched a little small portion of it. But you actually got a ton of footage, like tons of it. Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty cool. And then, so you can, so this has made it like flat. So you wanted to, if you wanted to use that as a shot,
Yeah.
right, in your regular video, then you can use that. And you can zoom in more. And then also if you wanted to, like, let's say you were here and then you could pan it through. So then you have like a nice pan. Or then later, some of this stuff you could make, oh, see, there you go. And then for your making of video, it's the making of video.
I don't like it.
She's Alyssa's like, no, don't even do that. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, because then you can bring this in, and anyway, just gives you further option. It's good, high quality, and there you go.
Who's that guy?
Okay, yeah. So you guys could have like a total making of.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
The 360 camera is really cool. I still have like not many ideas on how to like properly implement it, but
Well, later
there's,
when
like, so much you can do, right?
yeah, well, later I can just show you when you guys are in the editing how to incorporate it in as like regular footage. So then there's other weird things too, right?
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
How do I? There's a way of making it, yeah, like the little planet. Anyway, I don't know how to exactly make it little planet, but anyway.
Kelly,
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool image of like our team now.
somebody at the
Yeah,
gym
yeah.
put yellow and orange and red discs around the 360 camera, which you don't see in the.
No, that's a different shot. This is only, you actually filmed for like 26 minutes and then another shot of 20 minutes.
No, I'm just saying it helped because
Oh,
the people in the gym avoided it because.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's it, because we set some actual, this stuff with the boxing. So we set right where the coach just walked by with the white gloves.
Right.
We set one up there, and it looked pretty good.
The other thing is this, I just put it on fisheye view, but the thing is that oftentimes it's really hard to get like a full establishing shot of like a whole space, the geography of the whole space. So remember when I said like try to avoid like pans and stuff, but you can make this rectilinear, but then you can just do a slow, really nice, I'm just doing this with my hand, right? Pan. And so when you first want to establish the gym, you just really are establishing your place. Anyway, there's just a lot of things that you could, it's just another tool, right? So, anyway.
Really, really, we're gonna have to compile some of this footage for my brother, actually.
Yeah, no, I'll show you guys how to work with it later, so. Okay, I'm so happy that Sandy took because I didn't have like any takers originally on the whole 360 camera.
I think Sandy got some really good stuff for the boxing. We did lots of drills, because that was like right in the center. One thing we didn't do, which you suggest, is getting people sort of wrestling over top of it, but I was a bit worried that thing.
But I can, once you see this and whatever, if you guys want to take it for a specific thing, then obviously.
Yeah, the other thing, it's quite intimidating to like, even like when those guys are like rolling around and doing their stuff, it's like, I just want to stay out of your way. Like,
What you could do too is you can mount it above.
Yeah.
Because then you get 360, so you can get the shot of below. So like you can see them over top. And you'd be like right over top, and then like.
We need a heck of a high.
Jim was too high.
Shouldn't
Well,
be
even
in
if
front
you
of the
just-
camera for silicone.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
For now.
So,
beside the chair.
oh, beside here?
A little way to watch them.
Oh, okay, no, where are they? Anyways, I just, did we hang up?
Because we shut down the.
Oh, we shut down the thing, okay. Okay, so Riaz, do you want to now show, Zephyr and
They have
Rafa
project,
had?
I
Yeah.
just talking about, so they can, I can
Okay,
be
yeah.
their navigator, but they have.
Yeah, you can talk about it, so come on up.
Just beside
Shelby,
that
you can
chair.
come up.
That
You
black
guys can
And,
come up. You want to?
hi. So we got you back on. Our, so we got one more, team here. And then are you guys gonna have something you can show us, just with the Skype cam?
Sure. Like, you mean like we're basically trying to do that projection example in a we have the three components, but we're in the final, like, trying to render it on a line. But we could show you some of the clips. We could show you some of the interview clips if you want to just see that part, because that's actually edited. We could do the first version I sent you. How about we do that?
I'll just email all the clips that we have.
Yeah, we can show you our three individual films that would have been part of the projection, but we haven't been able to
put them all together.
Organize them. But can we show you that?
Yep, but we'll give you guys a minute, and we're gonna just watch Rafahad and project.
So don't show the revision, but the first one. Kelly gave me her second.
Okay. So we're just gonna mute you guys for a minute.
Okay.
But then,
Oh,
how do we?
do you have sound on yours? Oh, yeah.
Might be.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
okay, anyway, so we're just gonna hang up for a sec and show you our.
Revision? No, not the revision.
That was your interview?
That was my second.
Oh, this one? Yeah.
We're just gonna shut you guys off for a bit, okay?
So we're just gonna hang up for a sec and show you our revision.
Yeah, you should be able to.
This is just called.
Yeah, no, they know what they're doing. We're just
Skype.
here, just turn.
No, Skype. You have to
And what about your
quit the program.
library? That one is
Quit Skype.
There, just hang up.
They can do a screen share. If they hit the plus button on the video call,
Right.
they can have like a video of their screen showing
Yeah,
up instead. So
but
then
they're
you can
just-
do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to disconnect
Yeah, you
this
can
one.
take that one out. Yeah. They're just organizing their stuff.
So if they can stand beside that black chair, then you can see.
Okay, yeah, here, come on over here, team.
Yep.
Yeah,
That works.
and speak up so we can hear you. Right?
Why are you over there?
Oh, let's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, come closer.
There's a
Come
bit more
closer, you
room
guys.
beside.
Yeah, so we want them to be able to hear you. Okay. Yeah, and okay, there you go.
Yep.
No, actually, there's like a whole.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay, quiet, everyone.
none of the editing has been done yet, so we just have raw footage right now.
Right.
And the theme is
And the theme is
harm reduction and okay, it's a little bit it's a small it is a movie combined of an animation and movies and sound, and it's about silverware and giving silverware talking to each other, and there's a message behind it, so there is like fork and knife and spoon and plate. There are 3-4 characters there, and fork and knife, they are talking to each other how good we are and what we can do together, and like if we are joined together, and we can cut the steak and all that, and they're just ignoring other utensils, especially the spoon that is beside it, and that's the story. And then when and the person who brought the plate and everything, and then when he brings in, and what he does is that he brings the soup, and the fork and the knife are left behind, and the soup, which was ignored,
Spoon, that was it.
the spoon was ignored throughout the day, and then he got his win. It's like the underdog wins, or the everybody is needed. That's the whole concept. So it had Shaki, why don't you explain what are the characters and all that?
Well, the knife, fork, and spoon are there. We are going to flip it up the other way around after.
Yeah.
And So, do you have this? Do you have the thing where
Yeah, I think animation
Yes,
is
it's
coming.
just
The
spinning. So,
Oh.
because it's from USB, so it's just taking some time. But
Yeah.
let me
So
just see if I.
it has like many components. It will. We're thinking of having an intro of using game programming Unity, just to start it, and the end also, the credits. I will use some the particle effects and something like that. Then it has animation, stop motion animation as well. When the fork is going towards the knife, for talking over, it has some stop over animation. Then we shot the video. Arlene was the knife, and a great voice, and
That's the knife. No.
and Shelley was the fork, and then
I had my gymnastic move of
Yeah.
doing the flip.
Yeah. So there was a little. The idea was that since this is our first time, we wanted to experiment through the whole process, And the idea is very simple. The concept of the movie is simple, although message is very powerful. But we wanted to go through the process, And the process we are using multiple things. So it is going to take us somewhat time, to edit it properly, and but you may see few things,
And these are not mug shots. These were the
It's
expressions
acting.
put on the.
It's acting, people.
These, because we were capturing the faces so that they can be overlaid on the spoon, fork,
Yes,
the knife,
that's an important
and even the
thing.
plate too.
Yeah.
So they're going to be kind of transparent, but you can see the eyes and.
And we could use what Arlene did, using the app, the talking app that we had, but since he's already doing that, we came to know about it. Now we are using the real faces.
Rolling. Scene 4, take 2.
Question: Isn't that supposed to be right in the?
The reason I had my hat on backwards was so that the thing wouldn't put a shadow on my face. And plus we're just taking the oval of my face, right?
So, what's for dinner tonight?
Have mercy.
Steak, I guess.
So he's gonna need me to hold it.
He's gonna need me to cut it.
He may need you to cut it, but he still needs me to hold it.
Steak needs to be cut in small cubes. No?
Good eyes. And that was the whole thing. I was trying to make
guess,
my eyes
okay.
as big as the screen, because it's going to be in the mic.
So the actual faces are not going to be shown. They're just lips and eyes are going to be shown, superimposed on the fork and knife and the spoon, So, so there are multiple takes. What we will do is that we have to clean it up in the editing process, So, the small shots. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the editing side of it.
And if I can
But how was
comment
your
with respect
experience?
to-
Like, can you?
We started from zero. We had this is the first time that we experienced this process. And the deadline was like, Sunday, and the concept and the script. Thank you, Ron, for helping us with the, the initial script thing, and, that get us going, we put some jokes in there as well, But the whole process was amazing. I didn't think we could have learned if we had just went through the normal way of learning and making the movie and how to make the movie. What we learned in 3-4 days, I think it was incredible. And thank you very much, Ron and Kelly, and the team, because all the team members helped us. We had and we looked at your videos, Arlene's and yours, and that gave us a very good overall mixture, and about the process of doing it, and I think that is an experience that we're going to take it away, and it's going to be with us for the rest of our life.
But
So
that's
I
director,
think
the
that's
director of the movie
Yeah.
wants to talk to.
Yeah.
So just give him some space.
Yeah, please.
So how was
Yeah.
your experience? What did you
My
think?
experience was very fun, like the whole process, in even sound recording and learning that, because I didn't know anything. So when I was doing it, then also I was learning. So yeah, for me it was overall very fun.
Can't wait to see it when it's done. It's going to be great. We saw, like, when we came in earlier today,
Yes.
we saw the,
It's on my. I'm working on that.
yeah,
this
the,
editing,
the fork, with Shirley's face on
No, you
the,
can't show that right now?
I can. I'll quickly show it so you guys get an idea.
yeah.
I think that's the real difficult thing for us, and I think we need to learn it as well, but that putting the face, the real face, because app that is good, great, but the face in which the expressions are there, you could see the whole expressions of the person. So it gave personality to the spoon and the fork and the knife, but the trick is how to put it. We don't know that yet, but we are going to learn it tomorrow, day after tomorrow, while we're working on it.
Who is the spoon?
The spoon.
Wendy.
That's the spoon. Wendy is the spoon,
And one of the things we all found was when our real faces were being recorded for the sake of going on the utensils, you have to stay still like a wooden soldier and try not to move. And every time I'd laugh, I'd come forward. I just kept coming forward. Or you just found that, or then I was supposed to my eyes were supposed to look to the side, right? Kept moving my head, and you had to cut, and you had to just be so aware of stillness and standing, like the teacher sent you in the corner or something, but it was.
And
it
mine
wasn't
was
easy,
that
right, Wendy?
mine was that I kept on looking down at the lines, there was nothing to look down there when your face is on there, so it's not a good thing to look down. So just trying to look beforehand and then saying your line with either looking straight or looking towards the knife.
Okay. So
and the other thing was, it is important since the spoon and the fork the fork and the knife are placed side by side, so in which direction you're looking when you're talking, that was very important, because otherwise it won't make sense. So it's coming there. It's gonna take some more time,
Well, one thing that we all will learn in post-production is that while you have complete control when you're making an animation, you have 100% control, but it's the time factor, because you have every piece of control, but there's so many factors and so much work that has to be done. So coming up with a very simple, concrete concept, I think that's what has really allowed you guys to come a long way.
I didn't think we reached that far, but I think we got a lot of help, and it's not over, and I think this process is going to continue. I think the thing that we are going to download the editing software, and we are trying to, although Riaz is going to help us a lot, thank you so much, but we are going to we have all the raw footages,
Right.
So we will just keep working on the process, because if we go through the process once by ourselves, then it's going to be part of us, and I think that is important.
Chris, maybe they can make other stories too out of that raw footage.
Yeah, once you go,
a
it's
series.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I had silverware that was different, and some that was old and twisted, and not polished, and also from different countries, so you could make a whole different story with.
She brought a lot of silverware.
Yeah.
Did the animation come?
No, I think animation is going to take some time. This is just showing the concept.
No, I thought the how we had it yesterday, so you could see the.
Oh, yeah, with the
Does this
spoon.
play, Riaz, or?
No, because I took out the media file.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Okay. But anyway, but you can.
This is gonna play.
It's going to look cool.
Yeah.
It's going to look cool.
Will you bring in a combination of the spoon and the fork as a sport eventually?
The possibilities are endless.
Work together.
But there was
last
I
word
had
goes
one
to the
that's
plate.
a teaspoon that's supposed to be the tea thing that holds the tea, but looks like a teaspoon. And then I've got one that's like a knife, but a spoon. So they could work something out. And you've got the sugar spoon and the more decorated
Thank you so much.
legal spoons.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to try to reconnect. We've got like the spinning wheel of spinning. Oh yeah, good idea. Okay. Okay.
Text we're here and get our stuff.
All right.
Oh wait, am I muted?
No, we can hear you now.
Okay, cool.
So I emailed you some links, Kelly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
maybe I'll plug my computer in. Yeah. Okay.
I can talk. You do it. Yeah.
Maybe okay, let me just see.
There we go.
Okay, I don't have it yet.
One big, happy, library
Did you send it to Sheba Film or
I
Docs
sent
North
it
or
to, yes, ShebaFilm@gmail.
It's just kind of everything.
Okay.
We're just organizing files.
Okay, hasn't come in yet.
You can log in from here too.
There should be a couple emails. One of them is.
Oh, I
an
got it.
email with the-
I got it.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
The first email has 3 links on it
Right.
to the videos that we worked on. And the second email has some screenshots of kind of what we were trying to achieve in
Yes, I'll-
of like my After Effects
I'll just
project.
send it to you right
The
now.
After
Yeah,
Effects
I can send
project.
it to you.
So it is, we went with this like library idea and projection. So we have 3 kind of themes within the library theme. So we have one projection that'll be interviews with people in the library, with stories about the library. One projection with kind of like these themes of oppression and the challenges that libraries are facing. And the third is kind of like library in the community. We have some archival footage of the Silicate Library, of the former library moving into the new location. So there was some cool footage that we were working with there. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add.
Yeah, and I mean, there would have been the 4th dimension would have been just the actual text base. So what we were going to create was a film that would look as though it was being projected on a flat wall, just to give the illusion of what we're hoping to do with an actual mapped projection. Although, we didn't, so we couldn't get too elaborate. We weren't imagining shapes or anything, but given an opportunity, we would have, that's what a projection might have looked like.
Okay.
And there's I sent the second email because it's got just some pictures.
Okay.
Frame grabs.
Oh, this is I see behind you, the
Scroll
email,
down.
or
Or-
I
yeah.
kind of see it behind your head,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And then if you scroll down, there's photos.
These
Yeah, there.
ones?
Oh, those are the screenshots.
Okay.
So that's kind of the 4 blocks that we were kind of playing with, the 4 projection screens. That's it's right there.
Oh, yeah,
You
right,
can see
right,
it
right,
behind
yeah.
us.
Oh, yeah.
We can't see it on the
Oh, yeah.
screen.
Okay.
Because the stream's got a leg.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what we were working with.
So there
So
will
we've
be
got
4.
And the other email should have the clips.
Yeah.
Okay.
First email.
There we go. So that's the interview.
Yeah.
The interview portion.
My brother and I, there was a period in our life where we were in and out of homeless shelters and women's shelters. The one place we sort of sought refuge was the library.
The truth? I think the government shouldn't cut down this place, because this is where kids learn. They read. I read. It's a good place. You have books, you can read. You got people you can talk to.
When I think back at that, I didn't realize how much the library had an impact in my life.
It's not right to shut down where the books are. That's like being a Nazi, burning books. You know? That's not right. That's how our kids learn, from the books.
There are people out there that think that books are a way of the past and that it's all old technology, but I don't think that's entirely true.
Look at my son now. He's in law school. That's the books that did that, not me. I just showed him the way.
Books have a special place in the human experience.
Wow.
That's number one. Oh, here we got the oppression
Okay.
and the library challenges.
It's about one thing and one thing only, the almost $800 million budget shortfall. Are we saying close down all the libraries and burn all the books?
The library board or whoever, it has 2,746 active users.
2,700 people, active users. I think that's great, but they can also go 2 kilometers down the road to Richview, which is a spectacular library, or go up to Albion Road. There's another library.
I mean, we were, you know, like this would have been, yeah, it would have been, yeah, this is like just our source. Yeah.
Just like to point out Doug Ford saying libraries, not libraries, just irks me every time. So the third one is our archival footage mixed with some kind of current footage of the Silico Public Library.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just the lag of the stream so we can see.
Before the books arrive.
You broke it.
Morning, Les.
Go right inside.
No. All set for the move?
About as bad as we'll ever be, yes. Sure, a beautiful building.
Gorgeous building. It's unbelievable. I think that must be one of the nicest buildings in Silico, isn't it?
I think I did that for you. Oh, there's a little bit more.
That's cool. What great archival footage.
Did they even sign those books out?
There we go.
Just passing
So
on
that-
the one
yeah.
library
Interesting little video.
That's great.
Oh yeah, you guys have such great material. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that chain of people, that was, so the old library was down the street, so they formed like this human chain and passed all the books person to person from the
Like a
old
boat
library
pursuit.
location
Yes,
to the
the
new
cable.
library location. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
The book brigade.
Yeah, that's really great. So you're gonna you're still got the whole installation idea happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
So that was good. Well, I think we should, plan to keep in touch. Obviously, we're here. Riaz and Marcus and I am. We're here throughout the summer, and you can always contact us. And we're going to be available to give you advice on finishing your final product, and making plans to show it, and we really hope that you guys can plan some kind of if you can even contemplate coming down to our festival in September. That would be so much fun. That would be really great. Flying. She's gonna fly there. So if we can, anyways, I think it'll just be really wonderful, and we know how to get in touch with Greg, and I just want to say thank you to everybody for really participating, and so excited about all your projects, and I just really want to thank you all for coming down and participating. And it's been like 5 days, pretty solid 5 days of work and learning, and hopefully making some new friends also. So, and I want to especially thank Greg for coming all the way up here from Chicago, hanging out with us, and hope to see you at the Vox Popular Media Arts Festival with an installation and a couple other things mid-September.
And I was like, okay, I guess I'll have to just power through this for the both of us.
Hey, we can't see you, Jack. We can just hear you.
Oh.
Okay, so I think if you guys want to, anybody want to say anything, or we should just sign off and
I want to
plan
say
this?
big
Oh,
thank you.
okay.
I've always had these ideas ruminating around for these types of things. As you know, I do most of my stuff in print, but this is really, really been amazing to me.
The delay.
Yeah, I want to say a special
really
thanks
good.
to that. If it wasn't for the bursary, I wouldn't be here. So really appreciate that added bonus, and to continue to be a part of this community. It's a great place to be. Really great.
Right
It's
on.
really fun building on from previous documents.
Yeah.
Kind of feel like it's always.
I always felt bad, Arlene. You never got your other one finished.
It's,
We had an
it's
exercise.
Not dead. I didn't kill that darling.
Yeah, okay, that's
it's
good.
Gonna happen because I live in Western Ontario, not Northwestern Ontario, folks. Western.
Yeah.
I'm next to the American border on that great highway of the blues, Highway 61. My place leads all the way to yours. So, yeah, I hate when they call this place Northwestern Ontario because it's not north. We're right at the border, right?
Below the 49th parallel.
So don't call me north. I'm west. I'm in Western Ontario all the way, baby.
The separation movement.
Exactly.
They call it
Okay. Okay, well,
Thank you so much.
thanks so much. See you guys.